Welcome to Red-tastic. Story 1. I am a 20-year-old female college student who had, up until recently, been living in my childhood home. My mother died a few years back, and about 5 years ago, my dad remarried, and my stepmother moved in with us. On my 18th birthday, my stepmother asked me to start paying rent to them to continue living at home while attending college. I asked my father and he agreed, telling me that I am now an adult and it is only fair since I did have a job. They told me that even paying rent to them, I was still saving money as it was still cheaper to live at home rather than getting my own place, and my college is small and doesn't have any dorms. Based on what they said, I agreed as it just seemed like the best option for everyone. I had no real problem with this arrangement until one day they asked me to move into a smaller room, one without a closet, which is inconvenient as we live in a colder area and I have a lot of winter coats that hang in the closet. The reason they asked me to move is because my stepmother's daughter from her first marriage, who is 2 years older than I am, is pregnant. The baby daddy does not want to be involved and my stepsister has no job, so my parents want her to move into my old room rent-free. I agreed to move to a smaller room, but after a few weeks, I brought up the issue of rent to them. I told them I think that it's fair to halve the rent I pay, as I have less room now with the smaller bedroom. They refused my proposal, telling me that with the new baby on the way, they need the money. And my stepsister has recently quit her job because pregnancy made working difficult. She obviously will not be working for a while after the baby is born too. And they asked how I expected them to feed 2 more mouths with no extra income. I obviously was not happy about it, but reluctantly agreed to keep paying the full amount. Unfortunately, it did not end there. I got home one day to find my stuff no longer in my room. I don't just mean my clothes, I mean all of it. Confused, I asked what was going on and was informed that now I had not only lost my childhood bedroom to my stepsister, but they had decided to convert my new bedroom into a nursery for the baby. They showed me where they moved my things. It is essentially a large storage closet that has no windows and barely fits my bed and desk. At this point, I am livid and tell them I will not be paying rent to live in a freaking closet. But they tell me that I can either be homeless or live in the closet, since I can't find a better place anywhere else. They call me selfish for wanting to move out and tell me that I should not be angry about contributing to help out the family in their time of need. Am I the asshole for wanting to move out because I don't like the living conditions and I don't think funding my stepsister's baby should be my duty? Update. I did some research and, apparently, my parents have been charging me market rates for my rent. I could have been paying the same amount to have my own place this entire time and they lied to me about it. My friend Hannah needed a housemate in her townhouse and I will be moving in with her and paying literally half of what I've been paying my parents. I told my parents this and they flipped out on me, once again calling me selfish. I had had it by this point and told them that they had been overcharging me since before I had even graduated high school. I moved out and they started blowing up my phone with texts and voicemails telling me that they can't afford to house and feed my stepsister, and either she or my stepmom will have to get a job to make up for the rent that I was paying. Yes, I forgot to mention in my first post, my stepmother has not had one job this entire time. I had never really considered it strange until a lot of you pointed it out, but she has not contributed anything financially to the household while I have been. I have since blocked all of their numbers and so far living with Hannah has been great. Not only is the room here as big as my childhood bedroom, but we have an extra closet in our townhouse. You know I love my closet space. Even better than that, however, is that for the first time since I turned 18, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. That's right, I have my own savings account and I can actually start putting money into it rather than spending it all on tuition and rent. Overall, moving out has been the best thing I've ever done. And I hope my stepmother and stepsister learn to take accountability for their own financial situations and start working. Not the a-hole OP. You did the right thing moving out. I get wanting to help the family with compromising, but your family took it a bit too far when they asked you to move in the storage closet and still expect you to pay rent. They were essentially robbing you at that point. I'm glad things are working out with Hannah and that you're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. Your dad and stepmom should find a way of taking care of the family without being selfish. Yes, they're the selfish ones here. Take care, OP. Enjoy your closet space. Story 2. My 2 daughters are 9 and 12, and they do competitive dance and cheerleading. This past weekend, we were at a big competition with probably 20 other dance teams, and it was at a convention center. There was about 3 hours between the time my youngest daughter's team and my oldest daughter's team would go on, so we walked around the convention center and got some food to kill time. While we were sitting on the bleachers eating our food, a man came up to us and told us that a girl on his dance team had just lost her mother in an accident 2 months ago, and that I looked like her to a T. He showed me a picture on his phone, and I do have to admit, I look a lot like this woman. He told me that she had seen me multiple times throughout the day and each time got upset because she thought I was her mom. I didn't really know what to say, so I just said, "That's terrible. I'm so sorry for her loss." Then he said that as one dance parent to another, he would appreciate it if I would leave because my presence was too upsetting to the girl on his team and he wanted to be sensitive to her feelings. I was taken aback and just told him that I was waiting for my 12-year-old's team to go on and I couldn't just leave because then no one would be supervising my 9-year-old. He shrugged his shoulders and said, "I hoped you would do the right thing. I suppose I'll have to go to the event organizers." I was still in shock and my oldest daughter told me we should tell her coach what happened. So we did, because my daughter thought maybe he was trying to somehow sabotage her team. We pointed him out and my daughter's coach said he wasn't the coach of a team they were competing against and not to worry about it. If anyone said anything else, he would deal with them. No event organizer ever came up and asked me to leave, but word got around within the parents of our team, and most parents thought the guy was way out of line, but a couple have suggested that maybe I should have just stayed out of the way so the girl on the other team wouldn't have to see me, and that it would have been kinder to do so. A few parents even said that they wouldn't have minded watching my 9-year-old while I waited out in the car. I'm just wondering if I was insensitive to this girl in any way or if that guy's request was out of line. I thought it was, but if the girl just lost her mom, then I wouldn't want to be insensitive. We also might be seeing them again because a lot of teams go to the same competitions multiple times. Thanks in advance. OP. You are not the asshole. You were there to support your children. You shouldn't have to give that up because you happen to look like the other girl's mother. I get that it is upsetting for her, but she has to learn to process things and learn that some people will remind her of her mom. If she can't do that yet, then maybe she isn't ready to be in a competition. That may sound harsh, but what I mean is, if that child is hurting that much, she should opt out of competing. The man definitely handled the whole thing poorly. Asking you to leave was out of line. Threatening to get the event coordinators involved makes him the asshole. Now for some comments. I don't think you're an asshole. I don't think the guy necessarily was either. I think he was wrong to ask you to leave, but his heart was in the right place. It would have been better if he would have sat down with the girl and comforted her. But maybe he didn't know what to say or how to do that and thought the best course of action was to ask you to leave. And your own daughter would have been disappointed if you would have left and not watched her performance. So you did the right thing. Just because he was not an outright prick does not mean that was not a dick move on his part. I also feel bad for her loss. Maybe she should be grieving instead of competing this year. If she is seeing her mom in random strangers and freaking out, it is not the duty of the world to comply with her panic attack. No, you are not the asshole. The guy who told you that you should leave was a bit of an asshole for suggesting you leave. Yes, it's sad the girl lost her mother. Yes, it's upsetting that she saw someone who looked like her mother. But life goes on, and some adult on her team should talk to her about the fact that sometimes things remind you of someone you lost, and you have to deal with it. That is part of life. Story 3. My ex-mother-in-law asked me if she could take my daughter 12, and her half-sister, 7, to Disney World. I said it was fine and paid money towards a visit, as I didn't think it was right to let her pay for all of it. I gave my daughter a decent amount of spending money and entrusted it to my ex-mother-in-law. I have never had any issues with her and trust her. I got a call from my ex-wife a few days ago into their trip, and she asked me if I could afford any cash spare for her daughter and asked if I could transfer it over to her mom. I said no, and she had a 10-minute rant at me about how our daughter can afford to buy nice souvenirs but her daughter can't. I said straight up it wasn't really my issue and she needed to sort something out if she wanted her daughter to have the same stuff. My ex-mother-in-law called me up later and apologized. She said she had FaceTimed the girl's mom and she had seen my daughter had some t-shirts and stuff that her younger sister hadn't, and demanded to know why the younger one didn't have any. When my daughter's grandmother explained she had purchased it from spending money that I had given her, that's when my ex decided to call me. I told my own mom this out of sheer disbelief, and she said it would have been better for me to give both girls money. I was completely floored, since I was sure I wasn't the a-hole, but now I'm wondering. Not the a-hole, OP. You are responsible for your daughter. You have little to zero obligations to your wife's daughter. That doesn't mean you shouldn't respect the fact that she's still family. She's still your daughter's sister, but that doesn't mean you have any type of parental responsibility over her. And that includes spending money. Either your daughter gets extra money or there's no extra money at all. And I think you made the right move by catering to your daughter. I see how it's not fair to the other daughter though, but your ex shouldn't feel that entitled to your money.